All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2023 IWRS Session 3. We're excited to have you. Before we really delve in, I just want to celebrate this moment. So this is our last training session for the onboarding series for 2023. So I want to kind of give you all a round of applause. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your feedback. We know this is a robust process. There's a lot to learn. But I am so thankful that you have all kind of gone with us on this journey as we have provided you information about the pre-apprenticeship program. So as you likely all know by now, my name is Christine Flynn. I am a grant manager with the Illinois Department of Commerce, Office of Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. And I just want to thank you all for, again, taking time out of your busy day to be here with us. Over the next about 3 hours, we are going to be going through the Illinois Works reporting system, specifically building on what we started in session 2, IWRS session 2. So just a quick reminder, the target audience for this program are individuals accountable for data entry, data management, pre-apprenticeship program completion tracking, transition support, follow-up services, and any task related to cohort participants. So this is a wide audience for this program today. So some of the job titles might include program administrators, program managers, or program coordinators, data entry coordinators, training coordinators, or any individual responsible for entering or maintaining data in IWRS. So if you kind of fall outside of that category, it's a broad category, so I can't imagine many of you do. But if you do, we would like to gift your time back to you. Feel free to take a moment and drop off now. Otherwise, if you are all going to continue on with us, I do just want to remind you this session today is a companion to IWRS session 2. So we will be working through and practicing on the profile that you all set up in the last session. If you were not in the last session, that is okay. You can still be here. You can follow along. You will not be fully able to do all of the practice work that we're going to do today, but you're welcome to stay and kind of learn this process. If you did miss the last session, that session recording is on the Illinois Works Partner Guide, where we store all of our webinars and tutorials and recordings. So please feel free to visit that space and watch that recording, and it'll get you all caught up. And then you can continue on with this one to finish off the profile and what we're going to learn today. So before we get any further, I want to just introduce you to some of the individuals who are joining us. So through this process, we have introduced ourselves many times, but I want to just actually thank the team again for being part of this onboarding process. So first, I'm sorry, it sounds like someone is unmuted.
On the big screen.
Pearl, if you could please mute your line.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce Dr. Gia Suggs, who is our instructional designer and has done a great job kind of keeping us on pace with all of these trainings and all of this content.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our last onboarding session.
Thank you, Gia. Next up, we have Dan Martinez, who is another grant manager with us. Dan, if you want to introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Looking forward to the session today.
And finally, we have Dr. Veerley Robinson, who is our program coach.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome.
And thank you so much, Verily. And finally, we have Dr. Norman Ruano, who is the leader of our team. He is not with us today, but you have all met him in previous trainings through negotiations and general meetings. So this is our team, and we are excited to be here with you. So let's go ahead and learn a little bit about kind of what we are going to be talking about today. So, Illinois Works, as you all likely know by now, was created as a result of the Governor Pritzker's commitment to expanding equity in the Illinois construction workforce. So, the Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with Southern Illinois University's Center for Workforce Development, developed the Illinois Works Reporting System, or IWRS, which is where we're going to be spending our time today. So this system allows grantees to track key information about participants' progress throughout their engagement with the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program. And during this course, you'll be provided with information about IWRS, navigation instructions, additional system tools. We'll be talking about training services, attendance, post-assessments, and reports. So we're going to cover a lot in this training today. But by the end of this training, you will be able to describe the role of the Illinois Works reporting system. You'll be able to explain the relationship between IWRS and the pre-apprenticeship life cycle. You'll be able to navigate the IWRS main page, navigate the participant recruitment and engagement tabs, update or add training services, add attendance records, and access Illinois Works programmatic and compliance reports. So I just again want to note all of our sessions, including this one, are recorded. So if you need to drop off early, if there's someone in your team who wasn't able to make it, please know this session is being recorded and will be posted on the Illinois Works Partner Guide. The link for the partner guide is going to be placed in the chat right now. So if you do not have that link quite yet, it will be there for you, and you can utilize that to access any of our webinars. So before we move on to the next section, where we're going to get to meet all of you and see who's in the room with us, are there any questions? I'm not seeing any in the chat. Veerly, do you have any on your end?
No questions in chat.
All right, great. So let's go ahead and move on to our next section. So during this section, we are going to be able to identify your fellow session participants. You will be able to utilize the WebEx features and functions to fully participate in the training, and you'll be able to identify what you all hope to learn. So as many of you have seen in our other presentations, we always leave a spot for you to ask questions at the end of each section. But we know sometimes comments, feedback, questions come up outside of these sessions. You can always reach out to us at our general email box, ceo.illinoisworks@illinois.gov. You are also, of course, always welcome to also reach out to your assigned grant manager. So either myself or Dan Martinez would be happy to answer any questions that you may have about today's content or about any content related to the pre-apprenticeship program. So let's go ahead and see who is in the room with us today. So this is a little bit different. So I want you to just pause before you add in your information to our chat. So if you can please in the chat, add your name. And if you were in attendance in IWRS session 2, I apologize, it just looks like we missed one little mark there, but IWRS session 2, so our last session, if you can please put an asterisk next to your name, just so I can get a read of how many people were with us in the last session. Okay, thank you, Alejandro. Michelle was here with us. Awesome, great to see you again. Greg was here with us. Rochelle, Carrie, Merrick, Linda. Okay, so it looks like we have a lot of returning participants. That's awesome. To Eva, good to see you again. Angela, Latanya, Leilani, Tanya with Awaken, Joshua. Okay. Nora, Hazel. Okay, so it looks like we have a lot of returning guests, either from our last session or some returning grantees from last year. So why don't we go ahead? Thank you all so much for joining us. Just in the sake of time, I'm just going to skip right over our WebEx tutorial because it seems like most of you have been with us before and you already know how to use this. As many of you demonstrated with your emojis earlier, we will be using emojis again this time. So thank you guys all for participating there. Welcome, Deborah, Diane, Alicia. Great to see you, Kyle, Niles, Claritza. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining. So before we jump into our next session, were there any questions about what we're going to be learning during this session? Any questions about where we just covered or where we are going? Not seeing
No
any
questions
questions.
so far.
Awesome. Thank you, Verily. All right, so we are going to be jumping into just a short introduction of IWRS. So by the end of this section, you will be able to describe the purpose of the Illinois Works Reporting System, and you'll be able to explain the relationship between IWRS and the pre-apprentice life cycle. So many of you, based on kind of your responses here, were introduced to IWRS during the Illinois Works Reporting System 1 or 2 webinars. And perhaps many of you, if you were an administrator, were also introduced to it during that administrator orientation early in the year. The IWRS Session 1 training was tailored to administrators, which focused on provider information, managing users, and specific reporting tools. This session is going to be tailored towards individuals responsible for participant intake, training services, and specific reporting tools. So this is going to be kind of a broader audience that we're working with today. Now, IWRS is a data management and reporting system which is designed to allow grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program activities. It is the Illinois Works internal facing system for compliance reporting, and it is required that all grantees enter data into IWRS in real time as activities occur. So this is really an important point, is that this system is the only way that our team can get visibility into what your team is doing on the ground. So I know that I've likely said this before, I will likely say it a million times more. This system is the only way that we know what is happening with your program. So even if you have another system that you track information in, even if you're doing all of this amazing work on the ground, if it is not in this system, we cannot see it. And most importantly, we cannot count it towards your compliance. So it is really, really important that your team stays up to date with your data entry and make sure that data is being put into this system in real time. So we always have the ability to understand kind of where your program is, what progress you've made towards your outcomes, and then we can also accurately represent those activities on your compliance reports, which is exceptionally important. So the Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with SIU's Center for Workforce Development, designed IWRS, and it launched in February of last year. Due to the custom design, IWRS allows grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program inquiries, participants, and grantee partnerships. The system also allows programs to track key information about participant progress through their engagement with the program, including their application, their enrollment announcements, career and support service assessments, enrollment in training modules, attendance, training completion, transitions, and follow-up post-completion. So on this next slide here, you are going to see a graphic that you are likely very familiar with by this point. This is our pre-apprentice life cycle. And it tracks that pre-apprentice through your program. So from their first interaction with outreach and recruitment, through your application intake, into training, to their program completion, to their transition, and then into follow-up. So the pre-apprentice life cycle outlines all of these steps that your participants are going to take as they move through your pre-apprenticeship program. And it tracks that progress, again, from that initial point all the way to that transition. So each stage demonstrates an integral step in preparing participants to enroll in a DOL registered apprenticeship program. That is the ultimate goal. So this cycle is set up to ensure that they have all of the skill sets, all of the tools, everything they need to ultimately transition to that DOL registered apprenticeship program. So given this, your program will be required to input data into IWRS following this life cycle. You will start to notice as you work in IWRS, we've set it up so that it matches this life cycle. So you will start with your recruitment. You can see here we have some data from last year. You'll start with your recruitment where you'll add in your inquiries, then you'll go to your applicants. Then you'll go into your intake where you're going to actually enroll your participants. They'll move through their training process, and along the way, they're going to have their wraparound services and their student support services added. But then they're going to move into completion, transition, and follow-up. So here you can see just kind of a sampling of some of the data that IWRS can provide to you. This is 2022 grantee data. But you can kind of see some of what's available. Now, this is just, I will tell you, a small amount of what the system can give you. But these are some important metrics that we track here internally that follow on this pre-apprentice life cycle. So now most of you are already going to be familiar with our 2023 grantee manual. The 2023 Grantee Manual is a resource for instructions, guidance, tools, and expectations for program design, implementation, and delivery. You will also notice references to this document during this training today. I will try to kind of point you back to guidance in the manual so you're able to see how our program connects into this database and how the database connects into the programmatic aspects outlined in the grantee manual. So if you do not have this manual handy or you haven't yet gotten over to grab a copy of it, Vera Lee has gone ahead and put that chat link in the chat for you right now. Feel free to go ahead and click that and you're able to download the grantee manual. So before we move into our first kind of IWRS section where we're going to be doing some hands-on practice, are there any questions about kind of the origin story of IWRS or what it can track? I am not seeing any questions.
No questions in chat.
Okay, great, awesome. So in this section, we are going to be talking about signing into IWRS. So I do want to just pause here, and I want to, for anyone who was in our IWRS session 2, this is going to be a review for you. So this section and the next module will be a review for you on how to sign into IWRS, as well as how to navigate the main page of IWRS. Now, I know that sometimes, you know, we've gotten some feedback that we put some content in here that feels duplicative. And I just want to pause and let you know the reason that we do this, and particularly the reason that I think it's important that we do this, is we had many grantees last year because our orientation process is so, or our onboarding process is so robust. Sometimes things kind of get lost in the mix. And we really want to make sure that you know how to get into this system, you know how to navigate this system. So while some of you, this might be a repeat, just know it's really important to still be walking through these steps because you will be in this system a lot. And I want to make sure that you know where everything is and what use it has to you, because not knowing some of these key features can actually end up being kind of prohibitive to being able to navigate the system really effectively. So that was just my plug for you to not, start checking emails or something during this section because it feels repetitive. So by the end of this module, you will be able to identify IWRS roles. You will be able to sign into Illinois workNet, and you will be able to access the Illinois Works reporting system. So there are 4 roles for the Illinois Works reporting system. You and your teams will have access to 2 roles. So the first role is your service provider. So sometimes you'll hear us call that kind of a general user. So this is an individual on your team who has access to add or edit grantee participant information. They have access to dashboards, but they're not going to have access to your organizational level information. Now, your service provider program administrators, you'll hear us call those just program administrators, they're going to have access to all of the participant data, but they're also going to have access to organization level information. So they will have access to the grantee details page, they'll have access to provider info, they will have the ability to add new staff members, and they'll also have the ability to see some specific reports designed just for program administrators. So I want to pull that distinction because you will add new staff members, or you may have roles change and you need to change that person's IWRS access. These are the 2 roles that grantees have access to. So that service provider or general user, and then service provider program administrator. Now, the last 2 roles here, program managers and super administrators, these are roles that our team have. And these are important for you all to know because I just want you to know that we do have back-end access where we have some ability to do things that you all may not have the ability to do. So if you are having an issue in the system, if something is glitching in the system, please reach out to us, Dan or I, because we generally have the ability to kind of see what's happening. If we can't fix it, we can work with SIU to make sure it's taken care of for you. So let's go ahead now. We're going to talk about how to actually access IWRS. So before we begin, I just want to ensure that everyone has access to the system. So if you do not have IWRS access, IWRS access, if you can please raise your hand using the little hand tool on WebEx. So on that bottom bar, you'll see a little hand if you do not have access to IWRS. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. So what we're going to do is we are going to skip this access section and then talking about kind of how we're going to sign up, and we're going to go right into talking about how to log in. So once you have your account, now you need to get into the system. So what you are going to do is you are going to get over to illinoisworknet.com. And there are kind of 2 ways that you can log in. So this first way is on the main page of illinoisworknet.com. You're going to scroll down until you see this, what you see on your screen here. So it says State Partner Resources. And then you'll click on the View More button. Once you click on the View More button, you'll see a couple more logos show up, including ours, Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program, and you will click on that icon. Now, when you click on that icon, it's going to take you over to our Illinois Works Partner Guide. So once you get over to the Illinois Works Partner Guide, Gia, if you could just advance to the next slide for me. Thank you so much. So once you get onto the Illinois Works Partner Guide, you are going to see these 4 circles. The leftmost circle is 4 people putting puzzle pieces together. That is one of the links into IWRS. So you are going to click on that, and it's going to take you into be able to sign up or sign into IWRS, and then it will take you into a feature called Group Search, where ILWorks or the IWRS system will be available to you. Now, the second way that you can sign in is starting back on that IllinoisWorkNet.com page. In the upper left-hand corner, you are going to see an icon that says log in. When you click on log in, it's going to bring you to a login screen where you'll put in your username, your password, and you'll sign in. It will then bring you back to the IllinoisWorkNet.com main page, but it will now have an orange navigation bar at the top. So that orange navigation bar, as you can see on your screen here, is going to have several options. But what you're going to do to sign in is you'll click on My Dashboard, and this pop-up will appear. On the right side of this pop-up, you'll see Partner Tools, and you'll click on Customer Support Center /IWIS. So this is going to take you into that group search function. And then allow you to sign in to IWRS. So again, these are 2 different ways that you can get into the system, either going through that partner guide, or you can go through this main page of Illinois WorkNet and then through Customer Support Center. So either way, you're going to get into the same place. So we're going to practice this quickly just to make sure everyone is into the system. But before we do, are there any questions? Okay, I'm not
No
seeing any.
questions.
There are no
no.
questions in the chat.
Oh, thank you. There's a chorus going on. Thanks, guys. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. All right, so I'm going to have you all practice with me here. So we are going to start at www.illinoisworknet.com. So once you get there, we are going to do the first way we talked about first. So we are going to get onto our main site, and we are just going to go ahead and scroll down the page here until we find our state partner resources. So again, you'll notice this is matching our slide, and we'll click on View More. And that's going to take us over to this screen where we have all of these different icons. So these are all of the different programs that Illinois WorkNet works with. And we're going to find our Illinois Works logo here and click on that. That's going to take us to our partner guide. Now, if you save this partner guide, if you bookmark it, I know I have it bookmarked on my browser. You can always just click right into this. But this is where you're going to find all of your different resources, including how to log into IWRS. So again, we're going to navigate down to these 4 circles, and we are going to click on the one with individuals putting 4 puzzle pieces together. And that's going to take us into IWRS. So I was already logged in, so let me just log off just so you can get the idea of what this is going to look like here when you all log in. Okay, so again, it's going to take you into the system. Okay, it refuses to let me log off. It wants me to stay in. So what you should all see is you will have a login screen pop up. You will log in, and then it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. So this is going to be, just one second while it loads. this is going to be kind of the first page that you see when you get into the system. And this is going to be your groups search page. So your group search page is going to allow you to see all of the programs that your team is registered with. So I apologize, my system's running a little slow today. Let me get over to this groups page here. Okay. So that's just taking a second to load there. So while that's loading, I'll come back and show you kind of what that groups page looks like. I want us to go ahead and we're going to try to log in the second way that we discussed. So it looks like it's starting to load there now. So the second way that we discussed logging in was by going to IllinoisWorkNet.com and then clicking on this login icon right here. So just in the upper left-hand corner, you will click on login. And then you're going to see the page is kind of going to refresh here. But now you're going to have this orange navigation bar with these 5 different options. We are going to utilize My Dashboard. And you're going to see all of these tools show up here. And then you'll click on Customer Support Center. And that will take you in to the system. Now, because we've already logged in, we press that little icon up here. It should just take you straight to that group search section. It's not going to have you re-log in because you've already done that. So this is what that group search is going to look like. So this will be kind of the first screen you see when you get into IWRS. You're going to find this link that says ILWorks, and you're going to click on that. And once that page loads, you are going to be officially into IWRS. So you will see the main page populate, and up at the top, it will say Illinois Works Reporting System. So you know that you are now in IWRS. So it seems like, I'm not sure if other people are kind of having this a little bit of a lag on their side, but it's just taking a second to load. So we're going to let that load. But I just want to make sure that everyone is able to log in. So if you, here we go. So this is what it should look like when you are logged in. Okay, so I'm getting some feedback. It's also lagging here. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's good to know. So sometimes that happens. Our system might be slow some days, hopefully not more days than, you know, we hope. So we're just gonna let this process for a second, but we have now kind of successfully logged into the system. If you have not logged in, if the system has not allowed you to log in, can you please just put a note in the chat? Because I'm going to have Dan help you if you were not able to log into the system. I know it's going a little slow, but I just want to make sure everyone's logged in. Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat, so I think that's telling me that everyone's good. Everyone's logged in. Okay, so great. So I'm now, we're gonna jump back into our content here. And I wanna just do, again, an overview of our main page. So again, this is more content we did go over in session 2, but this main page is where you are going to be able to navigate everything. So I want to make sure we all have a really good understanding of all of the different features on this main page. So by the end of this section, you will be able to navigate the main page, and you will be able to add or update provider information. So let's start by talking about the navigation bar. So at the top of your screen in IWRS, and this is going to be visible on every page in IWRS, you are going to have a navigation bar. And so on this navigation bar, you are going to see several different buttons. So all the way to the left, you are going to see an Illinois Works logo, and you will also see an Illinois Works workNet logo. So these two logos, if you click on them, are going to bring you back to the main page of illinoisworknet.com. So that is, if you ever need to navigate back to that workforce portal, the main page of Illinois WorkNet, you can click on those. The next button you'll see is dashboards. So when you select the down arrow on dashboards, you are going to see two options. So the first one is assessment, and the second one is Illinois Works reporting system. So these are your dashboards within IWRS. We only use the one that is called Illinois Works reporting system. The assessment button, you can feel free to use any of the assessments that are available in the system. We do not require them, but they are there if you would like to use them. They do not replace any of our assessments, so they would just be additional to what we ask you to do. So just keep that in mind. The next button is the groups feature. So you will see it looks like 3 people together, and that is how you're going to get back to that groups search page. So if you're ever in a part of the system and you want to just get back to the main page, you'll click on that groups button and then click on IL Works, and it will bring you back to the main page of IWRS. And then the last feature we're going to talk about today is all the way to the right. You will see it's going to say hi and then your username. So this is going to also produce a drop down if you click on it. And in this drop down, you will see My Partner Dashboard. You will see Illinois WorkNet, Illinois WorkNet Message. You will also see a new feature that is called Help Request. So that is where you can report any glitches in the system. And you will also see a button that says Log Off. So that by clicking on that, right now it says hi, Gia Suggs, because she took our screenshot, but it'll say hi and then your username. By clicking on that, that's how you can log off of the system. Okay, we're still getting some feedback that the system is lagging. So we might have to take things a little bit slow today. So thank you so much for your patience on that. I'm not sure why it might be lagging this morning, but we're gonna kind of continue to walk through. It might just be a little bit of a slower pace in our practice sessions. So let's continue our review of the main page overview. So when you log into IWRS, you are going to see these 3 tabs on your screen. So the first one is the Participant Recruitment and Engagement tab. The second is Partner Engagement and Management. And the third is Work Plan and Report. So let's go through and kind of just do a quick review of each of these tabs. So the Participant Recruitment and Engagement tab houses all participant information and is where you will be able to access individual participant profiles. You can access information by status, or you can search for a specific participant by using the search bar labeled name on the screen here. This screen also allows you to do an export report. So that is going to bring up about 35, 36 fields of information that you can download from the system about your participants. It will allow you to access the Student Support Needs Report, which is where you will see all of the red flags for any participant who might have missed attendance or might have missed a post-assessment. And this is also where you are going to add a participant. So for those of you who were with us in IWRS session 2, you will remember that all the way to the right of this tab is where you see that add participant button. And that is how you actually start the process of adding a new participant. So the next tab is our Partner Engagement and Management tab. So this tab allows you to add and track partner information. And Illinois Works requires that all grantees engage with a range of partners, but we really are trying to push grantees to start to partner with organizations, especially around supportive services. So wraparound services, student support services, transition services. We learned that those are the areas that often our grantees need the most connection on, and where our participants need the most connection on. So obviously no organization can do every single thing in this system. So we really encourage all of our grantees to have those partnerships. Now, grantees are required to track partner information and engagement with partners in IWRS through this Partner Engagement and Management tab. And when you select Partner Engagement and Management, there are 3 sub-tabs that appear. So you will see Partner, which allows you to actually add a partner or search for an existing partner. You will see Engagement, which allows you to track engagement with partners and add contact notes for those partner engagements. And finally, you will see Contact Notes. So if notes have been provided on an engagement, this tab allows you to view all contact notes that have been entered. All right, so we're going to talk through these sub-tabs just kind of quickly. I know we reviewed this in the last session, but this partner tab, you are going to be able to add a new partner. You'll see up at the top, there are 2 fields. So there's a name field and then an intermediary provider field. For most of you, that intermediary provider field will be set to your organization. But that name field is where you're able to search for an existing partner. Now, if you needed to add a new partner, what you're going to do is click on Add Partner. So again, we are on the Partner Engagement and Management screen, or tab on the Partner sub-tab. You will click Add Partner there. And then the system will provide a pop-up window with a short form that will ask you about partner information. You will enter that partner information and then submit that partner. So now once you have that partner has been entered, you can now add an engagement with that partner. So an engagement, as we define it, is any professional interaction with that partner, including but not limited to meetings, phone calls, or speaking invitations. So this sub-tab allows users to search for a specific partner, see a full list of engagements, and add an engagement. So if you've just met with a partner and now you want to add an engagement, all you need to do on that sub-tab is choose Add Engagement. And you will see a little pop-up form appear. Again, this is just a short pop-up. You'll be able to select your partner name. You'll be able to select the type of partner that they are. So what, are they a support service partner? Are they an instructional partner? And then you'll be able to add the engagement date and click Add Engagement. And so that will then be saved on that partner's profile. Now, if you want to add any sort of contact note, all you need to do is go back to the engagement that you just added. You will click on that engagement and the system will provide you with that engagement's information with a new button called Add Contact Notes. And then you'll be able to save a contact note there. So similar to if you were, taking a case note, something like that, a contact note is essentially kind of a case note for that partner. Now, once you've saved that contact note, it will save on that engagement, but will also save in the contact note sub-tab. So this is the final sub-tab. And this feature allows users to search all contact notes that have been entered by your organization. So here you can search by your partner name. You can sort the list by a subject, by who wrote the contact note, by the date that the contact note was entered. So you have the ability to kind of navigate all of that information pretty easily if you're looking for a specific contact or you need to do some sort of follow-up. Now, the final tab is your work plan and report. So this is where we are going to be outlining your program dates and outcome metrics. So if you are a returning grantee with us, you will be familiar with this tab. We've entered your information there. If you are a new grantee with us, this is where we are going to be putting all of your work plan dates per cohort, along with all of those goal metrics that you provided us. So after our training today, we will be working quickly to make sure all of that information is in there. So as we close onboarding, you are able to go ahead and actually start to utilize this system and see how this report begins to work. So I think I saw a question in the chat. So let me just look at this. Okay, so Nora is asking, would you be able to delete any info if a mistake is done? So that's a great question. So the answer is sometimes. So there are parts of the system where if you enter information and it's inaccurate, you have the ability to delete information. There are other aspects of the system, especially if they're related to like deleting a participant, that our partners at SIU are going to have to do. So if it's something like an uploaded file, or I think possibly because this question came in during the partner area, if it's like a contact note or something like that, you should be able to delete it on your own. If for some reason the system's not allowing you to do that, just flag it to us and we can either delete it or we'll work with SIU to see if we can add a feature where you can delete it. It just depends on kind of how integrated into the system it is, because SIU doesn't always want to offer deletion options if it might impact that participant or that partner's kind of profile in the broader system. So that's always kind of a piece of it. But I hope that answered your question, Nora. Let me know if it did not. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Nora. And then were there any other questions, Veerli, that you might have seen in the chat?
No other questions.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we are going to go ahead. We're going to practice navigating our main page. Again, I know the system is lagging a little bit, so this might take a little bit of time. But once we are done with this practice, we are going to go into a break for about 10 minutes. So if we can, if you'll just hang with me during this practice, and then we will break for a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen from Gia here. All right. So I am still just on this main page, this participant recruitment and engagement page. So if you can just give me in the chat, or you can send up an emoji, just letting me know if you are seeing this page as well. Okay, I got a hand raise. Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, great. So we are going to start on this main page. So thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Carrie. Awesome. Okay, so we are now on our main page. So I'm just going to kind of review some of the features that we just went through. So the first one we talked about was this navigation bar. So again, this is going to be on every single screen that you have in IWRS. So we'll always let you navigate back. These two icons, so this Illinois Works icon, as well as this Illinois workNet icon, if you click on them, are going to bring you back to that illinoisworknet.com main page. This button here is our dashboards button. And when you click on that, you're going to see these two options. So you have assessment, and then you have Illinois Works reporting system. So assessment, again, is not something that our system requires. We do not require you to do any of the assessments in this assessment tab. The only one that we do utilize is this Illinois Works Reporting System dashboard. So that is going to give you kind of aggregate information. We're going to review that a little bit later in today's session so you know what's involved there. Next, we have our groups button. And this is going to bring you back to that groups search page. Again, if you're ever in the system and you want to just get back to this main page, the fastest way to do that is to click on groups and then click into IWRS, which will bring you back to this main page. So now you'll notice I have a couple of extra icons here. If you are a program administrator, you will have these as well. If you are not, you will not have all of these. So if you don't have them, don't be worried, you're not missing anything. The last feature we went through is this one all the way to the right. It should say hi and then your username. And when you click on that, you're going to see my partner dashboard. So this is going to take you to your internal dashboard on Illinois WorkNet. You will also see this help request button. So this is if you have any sort of glitches, if you're noticing something in the system that is off, you can click on this and it'll allow you to submit a ticket to SIU to report that glitch. And then they'll be able to track that and you'll get notices as they fix whatever issue was reported. This is the Illinois WorkNet button that will again bring you back to the Illinois WorkNet site. IWN messages, so that is short for Illinois WorkNet messages. This is if anyone internally in Illinois WorkNet sends you a message, this is where you can get those. And then finally is this log off feature. So if you need to log out of the system, this is where you will do that. So that is our navigation bar. So now I'm going to go through our main tabs here. So the first one is our participant recruitment and engagement tab. So on this tab, you will see this field, which is called name. This is where you can search for a specific participant. So all you need to do is type in that participant's name. So I'm going to put in my test person here. We'll see if the system might go a little bit slow here. So I'm going to keep walking through this as it's processing. But this is how you can search for a specific individual. This intermediary provider section should be automatically selected as your organization. So you should only be able to access your organization's information. And then your customer status here will allow you to sort your data by the status of your participants. So if you're just looking for a list of applicants, if you're just looking for a list of those who are enrolled, this is where you are going to be able to select that. And then you will select search and it will bring up whatever you're looking for. So in my case, I went ahead and I put in Illinois Works up here and I clicked search and it brought up all of the profiles that have Illinois Works on them. So we have some test accounts from our session 2 that got brought up. I will have access to everyone's stuff. You will only have access to your information. So don't be concerned that other people can see your participants. But this is kind of where you will get your full list of participants. Now, the next feature here is our export feature. I'm just gonna switch my provider here. I want that search. So this export feature, if you click on it, you're going to have this list of all of the different information that you can get from the system. So this is going to pull your participant information. So if you want to go ahead and click on export, you can go ahead and look through these different aspects. So if you're ever looking for demographic information, you can pull that here. If you're looking for any sort of flags that the system might have thrown up, If you want to see if someone has completed all of their assessments, so their wraparound service assessment, their career assessments, everything that you possibly want to know about your participants is on this list. If there is something you need that is not on this list, we can usually get it pretty easily added. So just let us know. But we tried to really make this list comprehensive to cover anything that you might be looking for. Now, an important piece about this list, if you are just looking for export data on a specific group of individuals, what you'll do is you'll go, before you go into export, you'll click on customer status, click whatever status you want, and then you'll search. And that's going to bring up a list of everyone who's in that customer status. And what that will also tell the system is once you go ahead and click on export, it's only going to pull data for that group. So if you're only looking for inquiry data, if you're only looking for enrolled data, you want to make sure to change this status, press search. It will bring up the list of individuals who are in that status for your organization. So I still had that name in there, which is why I didn't bring anyone up for me. But it will bring up all of those individuals. You'll be able to export their data. So that's an important feature to know. So you can see I have these 3 applicants on my test account. I'd be able to get all of their data through that export report. So next up, we talked about the student support needs report. So this is where you are going to go to find any red flags. So if you want a kind of aerial view of all of your participants, any red flags on their training modules, whether it's an attendance red flag, whether it's a post-assessment red flag, this is the report that will give you that information. It will show you both the participant's name, each of the training modules they are enrolled in, and then what training modules actually have a flag on them. So you're able to really hone in and target what the issue is instead of having to kind of navigate through each profile and kind of do some investigation. This will give you kind of insights into that. So again, that's that student support needs report. And then finally here we have our add participant button. So in session 2, we utilized this button to add our test accounts. As you start to add participants in, this will be your first step. So add participant, and then it will bring up, you know, your first screen here, and you're able to add in that participant's information and get them on the road to doing their application, their intake, and then hopefully enrollment. So I'm going to pause here in our practice. Are there any questions about this tab right now?
No questions, Christine.
Okay, awesome. So our second tab that we reviewed is our partner engagement and management tab. So this is where we are going to be managing any sort of partner data that you might have. So what we reviewed, if you remember, is we have our 3 sub tabs: partner, engagement, and contact notes. On our partner tab, we're going to be able to search a partner by name using this field here. Again, yours will be kind of automatically set to your organization's name, so only your partners will come up here. But you'll be able to see all of the partners that have been added. You'll also be able to add a new partner. So you'll do that by clicking add partner. And this short form will come up where you can put your partner name, the type of partner they are. So are they a college? Are they a union? Are they a business association? Whatever they might be. And then we'll ask you for some additional information. So the number of employees, if they're an apprenticeship sponsor, their kind of information about their address. And then again, this will be auto set for you as a provider. So once you click on that, or once you fill that out, you'll click on add partner information, and your new partner will be added and populate here in this list. So once you've added a partner, you can now add an engagement with that partner. So that takes place on our engagement sub tab here. And what you're going to do, again, you can kind of search for a specific partner or engagement by this name field, or you can add a new engagement. So you'll click on add engagement. Again, a pretty quick kind of intuitive form here, but you'll be able to select whichever partner you want. This will only populate partners that you have already added. So if the partner is not in here, it means they're not added in the system. You'll be able to add what type of engagement was it. So was it job site training? Was it a transition service, a supportive service? And then the date of that engagement. So once you fill that out, you'll go ahead and press add engagement. And then say you want to, after you add that engagement, you want to go ahead and add a case note. So I'm going to go ahead and search my engagements through my partner here. I'm just going to have the system kind of look up my old course construction here. So we'll click on that. Let me pull this one up. So you'll see it's going to populate whatever engagement information you put in there. And then it's also going to populate any case note or contact notes that you put in here. So I've already put a contact note on this engagement, but if I wanted to add an additional one, all I'd need to do is click add contact notes. And that's going to allow me to add in kind of this new subject. It's going to allow me to add a comment and then add that new contact note. Now that new contact note will be saved on that engagement. Just as you saw, this one was saved here. It would just add a new line. But it will also be saved on this final sub tab, contact notes. So when you click on this final sub tab, contact notes, it is going to allow you to see all of the contact notes that have been added for all of your partners. So this is kind of the warehouse of all contact notes. So again, here you can search by a specific partner name. So if you're just looking for contact notes for that individual partner, you can do that. And what's nice about this feature is it will bring up the entries for those individuals, and it will display the contact note for you. So it doesn't require you to click back into the engagement. It doesn't require you to click back in into a different screen. It will show you everything here, which is really nice if you're trying to understand maybe the back and forth of an engagement, kind of where a partner relationship is progressing. You can kind of follow these comments. Again, you can sort by subject. So if you're looking for a specific item, if you're looking for all contact notes related to public speaking events or things like that, you can also sort by the comment if you would like, who it was entered by or the date that it was entered. So that can kind of give you a good idea of if you're looking for a specific engagement, you know there was a contact, but you're not sure exactly the day, this will allow you to do that. So I'm going to pause here because that's the end of this partner engagement and management tab. Are there any questions about this tab before we move on to our last one?
No questions so far, Christine.
Okay, thank you, Verily. All right, so now we're going to move to our final tab on our IWRS main page. This is your work plan and report tab. So if you're a returning grantee with us, you will be familiar with this tab and the information that is on here. For our new grantees, what you're going to see here when you log on, again, this will be auto set to your organization. You will be able to see your per cohort goals and metrics. So I'm just going to let the system kind of process for just a second here. Okay. So you will be able to see for each of your cohorts, the goal, your enrollment goal, your completion goal, your primary transition goal, and your secondary transition goal. You will also be able to see the actual numbers, which are pulled from IWRS. So as you enroll individuals into these cohorts, the system will pull through this actual number so you can see your progress towards your goal. And then it will have your start and end dates. So for all of you who completed that work plan report, you'll remember you put in dates for your enrollment, dates for your completion, dates for your transition. That is where all of this information is sourced. If you ever need to change these dates, all you need to do is send in an updated work plan to your grant manager. They will review it. If everything looks good, they will approve it, and then they will update IWRS to reflect that change. So you will always kind of have these dates, if they're approved, have these dates reflect what's actually happening on the ground. So that is this kind of final tab. Are there any questions about this work plan and report tab?
No questions in chat.
Okay, awesome. I know this is review for a lot of you who were with us last time, but if you do have any questions about kind of this basics of how to navigate this, please do let us know. We are now kind of finished with module 5. So I'm going to have us go to break. When we get back from break, we're going to be delving into brand new information and doing our brand new practices. So again, if you were not in session 2, this is the section where you might not be able to really navigate with us. You're still welcome to hang out, to kind of watch the process, to watch our navigation, but you will not be able to kind of do hands-on practice with us. Session 2 is available in the Illinois Works Partner Guide for you to watch and kind of get up to date on that, and then you can kind of continue on with this practice after this session is posted on the partner guide. But I just want to give that caveat just so no one feels kind of left behind in our practice. So it is 10:40 right now. Let's go ahead, take a 10-minute break. Be back here with us at 10:50. Thank you so much.
Hey, Christine, this is William. Do you got a quick question? I got a quick question while
Yeah, go
I was
ahead,
on
William.
break. How do we add a plan? I don't have anything under my plan for, like you have listed here, cohort fiscal year 22, and then add
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, great. No, that's a great question. So actually, we will add your plan for you. So your
Okay.
grant manager will add it.
I-
So for you guys, I'll be adding your plan today or tomorrow. So as soon as that's added, you will see your cohort information. But that's a great question. Only grant managers have the ability to add or edit this screen. So you will not have an add plan button.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we will see everyone back at 10:50. All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great break. We are now going to be jumping into our next module. This is going to be brand new content. So we will be picking up kind of where we left off with session 2. So during this module, we are going to be talking about training and services. So by the end of this section, you will be able to identify where this IWRS content is located on the pre-apprenticeship life cycle. You'll be able to add or update training services information, add attendance records, complete a career assessment and create a career plan, and update the action log. So let's go ahead and get started. So in IWRS session 2, we covered multiple phases of the pre-apprenticeship life cycle. So that included outreach and recruitment, application, intake, wraparound services, and student support services. So in this session, we are going to be building off of that. So just kind of a reminder of some of the more kind of like nitty gritty items that we got into in session 2. We went through how to access participant profiles, how to add a partner, enter an engagement, add contact notes for a partner engagement, add a participant lead, complete a pre-screen assessment, submit an application, upload standardized interview notes, complete an enrollment, upload a signed agreement, complete a wraparound service assessment, and complete a career assessment as well. So we covered a lot of ground in session 2. Now, if your role requires you to complete any of those tasks, IWRS session 2, that recording, just a reminder, is available on the Illinois Works Partner Guide. A link for the Illinois Works Partner Guide is being added in the chat for you now. So if you need to go back and reference any of those pieces, please do so by watching that recording. Now, this session, we are going to review the next couple of items on our pre-apprentice life cycle. So we're focusing specifically now on training. So training is a process that aims to increase knowledge, develop skills, impact attitudes, and or influence behaviors in an individual to accomplish a specific job, task, or goal. Training is focused on business needs and driven by time-critical business skills and knowledge. And it's the goal of that is to impact and improve performance. So impact and improve performance of our participants. Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship programs should be an immersive experience that provides training which aligns with skills employers need in their respective economic region. Grantees are expected to offer experiential training, also known as development by doing. By tailoring programs to employers' needs, grantees better prepare participants to meet the minimum entry-level requirements of a DOL-registered apprenticeship program and support participants' long-term professional goals in construction and the building trades. So this is just kind of a reminder about our training requirements. So pre-apprenticeship curriculums must offer a minimum of 150 hours of instruction, not to exceed 300 hours, unless specifically approved by our office. So if you are an organization that has more than that, we have already approved that, so just keep that in mind. Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship programs require certificates which include a NAB2 NCCER or ICCB a certificate, or another construction curriculum that we have approved, but those are really, I believe, the primary ones. So NAB2, NCCER, or ICCB, OSHA 10-hour, and first aid CPR. So if you need more guidance around instruction, around training requirements, you can access the Grantee manual and go to section 7, which is training, instruction, and certifications that will delve into this deeper. So your program may also offer other nationally recognized certifications. So those could be forklift, those could be flagger, items like that. But now let's go ahead and review some of the relevant functions in IWRS as they pertain to training. So after your participant has been enrolled, so in session 2, we went through and enrolled our participant. You will notice that the training and services tab will populate on the participant's profile. Now, this is where attendance, post-assessment scores, support services, and credentials are documented. Now, on this screen, you will notice there are 5 subtabs. So there's overview, review assessment, set goals, add steps or services, and update log. Now, it's important to note here that for our purposes, so for the purposes of Illinois Works, we will not utilize the review assessment or the set goals subtab. So we will only be using the overview, add steps and services, and update log. So that is what we're going to be reviewing today. Those other 2 are there if you want to explore them, but they're not required. Okay. So I just want to grab, let's see here. It looks like we just had a loss on my test subjects. Okay. All right, William, I'm going to have Dan, if you can touch base with William and see what might be going on with him. I just want to make sure he has his test subjects available there. All right. So now let's talk about kind of reviewing our training and services tab. So on the overview sub tab, so that very first tab, there are 3 distinct areas that you will see. So the first area is your sidebar. So this is going to allow you to access key functions, including uploads and case notes. You will also see the next section is a box that's called assessments. And that is next to another box in the middle there called desired career path. And then a third box called accomplishments. For our purposes, we will not be using assessments or desired career path. Those are aspects of Illinois workNet that are available that we cannot eliminate from our system. We will only be utilizing that accomplishments box. So that accomplishments box is where you are going to be tracking and are able to see credentials that have been added to your participant profiles. And the final section on this overview subtab is called your career plan. So that is all the way down at the bottom. You can see it has a purple line above it. It's called career plan. This is where all of your training, wraparound services, student support services, and transition services will be housed. So you can see on your screen there, they're all listed. So now let's go through each of these sections in a little bit more detail. So the first one we talked about was our sidebar. So the sidebar is located on the left side of your screen, and it features 3 boxes. So the first one is the top one is your participant information. So this is where you're going to see your participant name. You'll see their email, their date of birth, the last 4 of their social if one was added. So this is just key information about the participant profile that you are on at that moment. The box underneath that is called related instructions. And you will see there's linked text that says career plan overview. If you click on that, it's going to give you detailed written instructions on how to navigate this page. So if you ever kind of get hung up, you're not sure exactly where to go, if you click on that linked text, it will take you to written instructions on how to navigate this career plan section. And then that final box is your participant summary tools. So this offers a selection of links that will help you navigate the participant profile. And though this is being introduced here on this overview page, this sidebar is going to be available on every tab of the participant profile. So you will always have this kind of left side sidebar available, and all of those features will be there for you as you navigate this participant profile. So let's now talk about two features that are probably the most utilized and most important on this sidebar. So the first is case notes, and the second is uploads. So when you select case notes from this sidebar, you are going to be brought to a repository of all of the case notes that have been put onto that participant profile anywhere in the system. So no matter what screen you're on, if you are on a specific training module, if you are on a support service, whatever that might be, anywhere you put a case note, this is where you can go to see all of the case notes. You can also add a case note from this screen as well. So if you just need to add a general case note about the participant, we often see that if someone has decided to exit the program prematurely, we'll see a case note added saying, you know, this individual needed to leave the program for XYZ reason. We attempted to reach out to them to do an exit interview, whatever that might be. So this is your case note tab. If you ever need to find a list of all of your case notes. The second feature in this sidebar is your uploads feature. So when you select uploads, you can see it highlighted here on the screen. This is going to take you to a repository of all of the uploads that have been entered on this participant profile. So again, any upload that has been added anywhere in the system for this participant, this is where that file will live. So you can come to this screen, you can see this is where their interview sheet is going to be housed, even though we entered it on the intake tab. This is where their signed agreement is going to be, even though we entered it on the intake tab. We also, you can see on your screen, have certificates. So their first aid CPR certificate, their NCCER certificate, their OSHA 10 card. So this is where all of those uploads are going to be housed. So those are the two most common features that you'll utilize on that sidebar. Excuse me. So next up, I want to go ahead and talk about this assessments and career plan / accomplishments area. So this is kind of this box above career plan and to the right of our sidebar. Now, many of these features, these are set features by Illinois workNet. We do not require their utilization. If you would like to utilize them, that is up to you. But again, we do not require them. The only one that is really utilized by our grantees is the accomplishments box. So on the right side of your screen, you'll see a shorter box called accomplishments. And in that box, you will see 3 items. So it says earned credentials, completed goals, completed services. So this box gives you an overview of how many credentials have been added onto your participant training modules. It will show you how many goals have been completed. So those goals are, you know, completing training services, completing a wraparound services, those things, and then completed services. So those completed services will actually tell you how many training services have been completed, how many wraparound services have been completed. So if you know your participants have 10 training services and 2 wraparound services, you would expect to see there that completed services would be 12. So that's how that box is used if you're just kind of looking for kind of that aggregate data for that participant. All right. So the next feature, and this is going to be the one that is probably most utilized by all of you on this tab, that is the career plan space. So this section allows you to access participant trainings, wraparound services, student support services, and transition services. So each goal has been pre-populated here. So you can see on your screen, you have underneath career plan, you have kind of headers. And all the way to the left, you'll see a header that says goal. So each of these training services, wraparound services, transition services, and support services, those are considered the 4 goals of our program. Those will be pre-populated for you, so you don't need to worry about adding any of those. But then next to each goal, you will see linked text that says show next steps. So when you click on show next steps, this feature will provide you a list of any services that have been added underneath that goal. So you can see on your screen, training services, wraparound services, and transition services all have a show next steps linked text next to it. That means there are actual services that have been added to that goal. Clicking on that text will reveal them to you. But you'll see that support services does not have that there. That means that this individual has gotten no student support services added to their profile. So I just want to kind of put out there for those of you who are new, your training services will be auto-populated on your profile. So for program administrators, if you remember during our session, we talked about adding in training services. So your grant managers will be adding in the curriculum and your specific training modules. When a participant is enrolled, all of those training services will be auto-populated for you. When you do a wraparound service assessment, as we did in our last session, all of those services that the individual opted into will auto-populate on their profile. The only 2 services that will not auto-populate are your student support services. So any academic supports, tutoring, makeup tests, extended time to take a test, makeup hours, those will not auto-populate. And transition services. So helping with mock interviews, resume prep, helping participants apply for an apprenticeship program, all considered transition services. Those will not auto-populate. That means if those services are offered, you have to enter those services onto the participant profile. So that is something your team will have to manually do in the system if that individual received a support service or a transition service. Now, to do that, you are going to go to the next sub-tab on our training and services screen, and that is called Add Steps/Services. And this is where you're going to be able to add in those student support services or those transition services. So you will do this by clicking on that Add Steps/Services sub-tab. So you can see that here on the screen. And you will see that there is a list of kind of all of the kind of goals that you have on your profile. But above that, you'll see in step 1, there is a button that says Add Services/Activities. So when you click on that, a whole list of all of the services and activities that are available in Illinois workNet will populate for you. And in that screen, you will be able to search for a specific service. So if you're looking for alumni networking, if you're looking for providing career information, if you're looking for resume prep, helping them apply for a registered apprenticeship program, you can type that in and it will bring up that individual service for you. And then to the right of each service, you'll notice some linked text that says add. When you click on add, the system will allow you to, the system will pull through that service onto this add step/services screen, and you will be able to then edit that service. So I'm going to pause here because I saw a question come through, and I just want to make sure that we are kind of staying on track with our question. So are you able to do bulk support or transition services if participants receive that service together, or would you have to go to each participant profile and add them? So that is a great question. So we cannot do bulk services right now for those features. So you would have to add them individually. If you're doing a transition service or a support service, which I guess you could be doing kind of makeup hours as a group, you will need to go to each individual profile and add that service in. But Kashmir, we certainly can kind of explore with SIU and see if there is some way that we can add a bulk feature. If you're doing kind of a makeup class, or you're doing, everyone's doing kind of resume prep together, that's a great question. So let me look into that. Okay. So for now, kind of where we left off is you can add that new service in, and then you're able to edit that service. So you'll be able to edit that service when it populates on the screen. The service will have a small blue pencil next to it. And by clicking on that blue pencil, you can see here on your screen, you will be able to go in and you will assign a goal. So for all of you, you will either choose a transition service or a student support service. So whichever that service belongs to. You'll be able to put in planned start dates and planned end dates. Generally for supportive services, we'll see those start and end dates be just the dates of that cohort. You are not required to keep attendance for any support service. So do not worry about keeping attendance for those wraparound student support or transition services. So you can, on that screen, you will be able to just mark that there are 0 required hours. When you set up this service, it will ask you for required hours because that's how the system is set up, but you will not have to enter those. So then once you have set up that service, the system will prompt you to add a case note. It will just ask, for you to give general information. If you are just setting up a general service, you can mark that you are just setting up a general service. If there's something more that you need to write there, so if you need to follow up with this participant, if there's some circumstance that you need to explain, you can add that in the case note and then save it. That case note, again, will be saved back in that general case notes space. So you can see that on your screen here. All right. So our final subtab is the update log. So this log contains every single action that is taken on the participant's profile. So it shows the action taken, the date and time stamp, and the user that took that action. So you can see here, as we've kind of been progressing through our slides, that I was adding in an alumni networking service. So you can now see on the update log, just as an example, it tracked that I added that service. So you're able to kind of see when a service was added, if someone added attendance, if someone added a new credential, something like that. So you can see here all of the different steps that I took over the course of a few months trying to build out this profile. And then you'll be able to access all of that on your profile as well. So before we jump into our hands-on practice, are there any questions about what I just reviewed?
So far, no questions, Christine.
Okay, all right, awesome. So we are going to jump into our practice now. So if your system has logged out, sometimes it does time out, especially over our break. go ahead and log back into the system. So once everyone's back in the system, if you can send up an emoji or raise your hand, just so I know and can get a sense of that everyone is ready to go. All right, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. But I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds for everybody to log in. All right, great. Okay. So the first step we are going to do is we are going to locate the test account that we created in our last session. So to do that, you are going to be on this main page, this Illinois Works Reporting System page, and you'll be on the Participant Recruitment and Engagement tab. Now, you can go ahead and search by the name of that test account if you would like. For many of you, if you are new, it's likely going to be one of the, or the only profile that you have down here. So you can go ahead and click on the kind of blue linked text. I'm going to go ahead and find my test account. So I'm just going to type in my fake person's name here, pull up that account. So it looks like the system's just still moving a little bit slow, so we're just going to give it a second to load. Okay, so as your system is processing, if you can just give me a kind of hand or emoji letting me know if you have gone ahead and clicked on your participant and now you're in their profile. Okay, thank you, William. All right, so here goes my system. So you should have your kind of test account pulled up. So I'm going to go ahead and just click test. So that's my person's last name. And that's going to take me into that participant profile. So before we delve into the training and services, I'm just going to do a quick check that everyone has kind of properly enrolled their participant. So the way to know that your participant is enrolled is at the top of your participant's profile. If you now have a tab called training/services, that means that that individual is enrolled in the system. So that does not appear until you have officially enrolled that participant. So if you are looking at your participant profile and you only have overview, intake, and program completion and follow-up, please go ahead and put just a note in the chat so I can see if anybody is at that stage. It sounds like it's still lagging a little bit. So I'm gonna just give a couple of seconds to make sure everyone is kind of at that stage. So again, once you get onto this page, if you only have 3 tabs, just let me know. Okay,
Yes,
so William,
we do
I
have
see
William.
you.
Okay.
Okay, Giselle. Okay, not a problem at all. So I'm going to walk you through just quickly how we are going to enroll our participants. So on your page here, and I hear you, the system is slow. It's not normally this slow, so I'm not sure what's going on, but we're just gonna kind of keep moving through at a little bit of a slower pace. So what you're gonna do, for those of you who only have those 3 tabs, I want you to go to the intake tab of your participants screen. And we're just gonna give it a second to kind of process here. Again, this is for those of you who do not see this training/services tab. So if you have this tab, just hang tight, and we will jump over to that tab in just a moment. All right. So for those of you who only had those three, you are going to get over to your intake page. And what you're going to do is just click Add Enrollment Status. So it's this button right here. So once you have gotten to that tab, if you can just throw up an emoji so I know I'm not going too quick. Okay, thanks, William. We had a couple more. Giselle's good. Okay, great. So all you're going to do is on this drop down, you'll click Enrolled. And then you're going to choose a cohort here. So if you'll just go ahead and choose, you can choose cohort 1. And then you'll just press Save. Yes, Joshua. So this is only for those who have just those 3 tabs. If you have the Training and Services tab, you do not have to follow along with this piece right now. All right, so once you are finished with this, you'll press Save, and that is going to enroll your participant. So down here, it should then say enrolled in program. So for those of you who are enrolling, if you can just throw up something so I can see, just make sure that that person is now enrolled in the program. All right, great, William, thank you. Giselle, okay, great. All right, so now for those of you who just enrolled your person, you might have to just refresh your screen. But when you refresh, you should now have this training/services tab available to you. So if you want to refresh, come back and just give me an emoji or a hands up if you now have that tab available to you. Okay, Giselle, awesome. William, okay, great, great. All right, so now that means that we have officially now enrolled our participant, and we are going to go ahead and now move into our training and services. So I want you all to go ahead and click on this training/services tab. And what you're going to see here is all of your participants kind of training information. So again, what we went through is you have these kind of 5 sub tabs here: overview, review assessment, set goals, add steps/services, and update log. We will only be using for Illinois Works overview, add steps/services, and update log. Those are the only 3 you need to worry about for this program. So on this page, you are going to see kind of our 3 sections. So over to the left here, this is what we call our sidebar. So this top box in our sidebar is where all of your participant information is going to be housed. So their name, their email, date of birth. You can also get their username, phone number, their address, their Illinois workNet ID. So all of this is available in this sidebar here. And then you can click See Less and it will retract. The next box is related instructions. So if you click on this, so you can go ahead and click on that link, it's going to take you into detailed instructions on how to utilize the career plan. So you can see here, these are just written instructions. These are developed by the team over at SIU. So they are, very step-by-step. They are very technical. So if you really want to walk through and kind of get an understanding of how to navigate this, these are great instructions for that. So I'm going to go ahead and just click the X on that and return to my page here. So again, the directions are available right in this related instructions area. The next box is our participant summary tools. So there are a whole host of tools in here, but the two that we are going to utilize the most are case notes, so this one here, and uploads. So I want you to go ahead now and click on case notes. And that is going to take you over to a screen that is going to show you all of the case notes that have been taken for this participant. Now, we just created this participant. We're not going to have any case notes yet. We have not gotten to a stage where we've needed to add a case note. So you shouldn't have a case note in here. Don't worry about that. In the future, you will see any case note that you've put in the system for this participant on this screen. You also are able to add a case note here if you want to just add one into this space. You can search for a specific case note by date here or filter by that, or you can export all of the case notes if you need that for whatever reason. You can export all of them here as well. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to click the X out of this case note. So I should be brought back to my overview screen here. And then I'm going to go into uploads. So if I'm moving a little too quick for you, if you can just put a turtle emoji in the screen for me and I'll slow down. Okay, Pearl, I will slow down for you.
You got a few turtles.
Yeah, okay, not a problem, not a problem. So let me just get back here. So we were on our overview screen, looking at our sidebar. And all we did is we just went to this case notes link right here. So those of you who just put up a turtle, if you could, once you're kind of caught up to where we are right now, just go ahead and put, raise your hand for me so I can see, or do a thumbs up. Thanks, Joshua. Okay, thank you, Jermaine. Okay, great. Pearl, awesome. Okay. All right, so we just did our case notes. So now we are going to move to our uploads. So again, we're still on our overview screen. We're in our participant summary tools, and we're going to click on uploads. So that is going to take us to all of our uploaded documents. So again, you're not going to have a lot here because we did upload our interview questionnaire last time. You should see kind of your test interview questionnaire if you followed along with that step last time. As a reminder, your upload section, this is where everything that is uploaded for this participant is going to be housed. So this is where you can find the interview questionnaire, the signed commitment agreement, all of the certifications that are uploaded. So their NCCR, NAB2, or ICCB certificate will be uploaded in here. Their first aid CPR, their OSHA 10, all should be uploaded in here. This is also where you will be able to upload their transition documents. So once they apply for a registered apprenticeship program, once they get accepted into a registered apprenticeship program, any of those documents uploaded here. You can feel free to upload additional documents here. We've had some grantees upload eligibility documents or things like that. Stipend invoices. So when they pay out this participant for a stipend, they've uploaded those. Feel free to upload additional documents, but this is where you can upload any of those files, and where any files you upload anywhere in the system for this participant will be housed. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. So what we just reviewed is this sidebar area. The next section is just this kind of middle section here, where you'll see these kind of 4 boxes. So this latest customer goals, assessments, desired career path, and accomplishments. Now, Illinois Works does not use this latest customer goals box, this assessments box, or desired career path. These are mandatory aspects of the system. They have to remain here. So they will be on your profiles. There's no expectation that you do anything with these three. The only one that we really utilize is this accomplishments box. This accomplishments box will allow you to see the total number of credentials that have been added for that participant. So when we are talking about credentials, we're talking again about NCCR, NAB2, ICCB, OSHA 10, and then first aid CPR. So that's what we consider credentials. It will show you the number of completed goals. So did that individual complete their training services? Did they complete their wraparound services? Did they complete their student support or their transition services? Those are your goals. And then completed services at large. So each training module is considered a service. Each wraparound support is considered a service, and so on and so forth. So this box will give you that aggregate number. So this is really helpful if you know someone has earned all three of those credentials and this only says 1 or it says 0, you know you need to go into this profile and add those credentials. So this is just a helpful tool to make sure that you know kind of where this participant's data entry is. That's what we've used it for, and it's been really helpful for people. So any questions on this portion of the overview? Okay, I'm not seeing any in the chat. Okay. So next I'm going to move on to the career plan. So that is this kind of purple section down here. You're going to see there are headers across the top. And the first header right here is called goal. So there will be 4 goals auto-populated for every single participant that is enrolled in our system. So that's training services, wraparound services, support services, and transition services. So what you will see next are related steps. So when you click, you should have a little link here that says show next steps. When you click on that, it's going to bring up your training services. Now, this is important. I have a lot of training services in mind because I have added training services to my provider info tab. So this is just an example of what you will see. Once your grant manager has entered all of your training services onto your provider information tab, all of your services will pull through. So all of your curriculum will automatically pull through. For now, all of you should have a service that says something along the lines of success, or you set up an account, something like that. I can't remember exactly what I noted it as. So let me see. Michelle says, I don't have show next steps next to my training services. Okay. All right, Michelle, let me, Dan, if you can connect with Michelle and just check and see why she might not have that. Michelle, this might be something you and I can connect with offline after the training if we can't solve that right now. But most of you, if you do have this show next steps, if you can just put up your hand or do an emoji so I know you're seeing something in this training services area. Okay, William, Giselle, Miguel, Joshua. Okay, awesome, awesome. So your training services, again, once they are entered by your grant manager, so don't worry about entering your own training services. Once they are entered by your grant manager, as soon as you enroll someone, those training services are going to automatically pull over. You will also notice, for those of you who can see that kind of show next steps feature, you will also notice that you may see some wraparound services. So maybe you see alumni networking or let me just see here while we clicked. So you might have childcare, mentorship, financial literacy, alumni networking, whatever that individual, our test individual opted into, those will auto-populate as well. I do want to flag, this morning I caught on some of your test profiles that the system was adding those wraparound services to your training services goal instead of your wraparound services goal. If under training services, you are seeing the like success, you set up your account, but you're also seeing some other services like childcare or alumni networking, those items, those are traditionally going to be end up in your wraparound services goal. That is something I have SIU working on right now to make sure all of those services align correctly. But what will happen is all of your training services, all of your curriculum, your training modules will end up here under your training services goal. All of your wraparound services will end up here under your wraparound services goal. So those two take place automatically for you. You do not have to worry about pulling those over. You don't have to worry about manually entering them. I'm going to pause here. Are there questions about this feature?
If we don't have the show next steps under wraparound services right now, but we had it under training, is that good enough for what we're doing?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, William. Yeah, I noticed that this morning. That's not how it's supposed to work, so I have them working on it. But you, in the future, once they fix that glitch, whatever's going on there, you will have that show next steps next to wraparound services. So right now you might not, but you will in the near future. Was there someone else who had a question?
No other questions, Christine.
Okay, great. All right. So those two goals, training services and wraparound services, those are the two that will auto-populate for you. Now, your other two goals here, so support services and transition services, those will not auto-populate for you. The reason for that is because obviously at the beginning of your program, you're not sure if someone is going to, fail a post-assessment. You're not sure if they're going to have to make up hours. You're not sure if they're going to need a resume prep assistance or help completing an application. Each participant is different and they're going to need different things. So these support services and transition services are something your team will have to manually enter depending on that participant. Now, it is fully possible that you will have participants that do not need any student support services. They are there every day, they don't miss class, they pass all their post assessments, no problem. But if you have a participant that does need that assistance, what you are going to do is you're going to need to add a service for them. So what you will do with that is still from your overview screen, you're just going to scroll up and you are going to click on sub-tab number 3. So that is your add step / services sub-tab. So go ahead and click that now. We'll give it just a second to process. I'll give everybody just a minute to get over there. Once you're on this screen, go ahead, hands up or emoji for me so I can kind of see where everybody is at. All right, thank you, William. Thank you, Leilani. Thank you, Latanya, Jermaine, Greg, Nora. Okay, awesome. It seems like at least the vast majority of us are on this screen. So what you're going to do now is you will click add services / activities. So you should now have this pop up, this add services / activities pop up. Now, I want to make sure everyone has this pop up. And the only reason I am pausing here is because I know SIU was working to make sure all of these services were in the system for you. So if you do not see this pop up, it doesn't have any services on it, can you just raise your hand for me? I just want to check and see if people have it. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, so I'm going to go through this stage. These services are being added by SIU. You will have full access to this full pool of services, and it will allow you to add any of these services. So I was hoping that they had kind of finished up this process by this point, but I will work with them to make sure this is done this week so that you all have these services available to you. What you are going to do at this stage when you need to add a service is you can scroll through. So you will see once all of these services are populated, you will have a whole host of services that you can utilize, that you can add. You'll also see, you will see your training services in here. So these are going to be auto-populated for you. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to say that we did resume prep for our test participant. Okay. So I've gone ahead and I found resume prep right here by just walking through the pages. You can also always search up here. So if I wanted to find resume prep, I would just type in resume there. It would bring it up for me. Either way, you can find it. And then what you'll do is go ahead and press add here. So you'll notice as soon as I've pressed add, this service has populated for me here. And now it's ready for me to go ahead and set up that service. So this is really important. If a service is here and it's staying kind of in step 2, it is not set up yet. So if you have it added, but it's not actually set up, it will not show up for that participant. So it looks like they didn't receive that service. So to set it up, you're going to click on this blue pencil here. And it's going to bring you into kind of the setup screen for this service. So all you'll need to do is click on goal, and you're going to select the goal for that service. So when we say goal, we're talking about, is it a training service? Is it a wraparound service? Is it a student support service? Or is it a transition service? So for us, this is resume prep. That means we are helping them prep for their transition by completing a resume. So that is going to be a transition service for us. And then for my planned start and end date, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put the full dates for my program. So let's say my program runs February 1st through April 28th. I'm just going to put that whole span. And then I'm going to put a 0 here because there's no required number of hours that we're working on this. We know we're going to work with that participant, but it might be we do an hour here, we do an hour there. I'm not going to lock myself into required hours. I also don't have to take attendance for this service, so I'm just going to put 0 here. Then I'm going to go over to the status section here and mark it started/open. So that now is telling the system, I'm now starting this process. I'm going to start this service with this participant. Now, this status is really important because you're going to need to come back in here and update this status to determine if this service was successfully completed, unsuccessfully completed, or it was evaluated but not required. So you might have a participant who early on says they need assistance with resume prep. They need assistance with, even for, a wraparound service, they may say they need childcare assistance, transportation assistance. But then when it comes to it, they actually don't need that. They've found some other resource. Someone else is going to watch their child or care for their loved one. So in that case, you can mark evaluated, not required. That's going to tell us, yes, we know that this person said they needed this, but they actually didn't end up actually requiring it. That's how we know if that service was provided or not. Otherwise, you are going to click successful completion. That will let us know you actually did provide that service. They successfully completed. So I'm going to pause there because I said a lot of words. Are there any questions about kind of this status feature here or setting up this service?
No questions in chat, Christine.
Okay.
Hi, you know what? I have a question.
Yes, absolutely. Twana.
So when we added what you just told us as far as like the plan completion date and how many hours a week you're planning on working on this, were we
Yes.
supposed to click on update customer service at the bottom?
So we will in just a second. So
Okay.
you were just a little bit ahead. Yeah. So we will in just a second. Yeah. No, you're on track. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mark this as started and open. And then yes, Twana, we're gonna click on update customer service. Before I do that, any other questions from anyone? I just want to make sure we're good. Okay.
No more questions.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and click update customer service. And this is where we're going to hit our first case note. So the system is going to kind of auto populate case notes in different areas. So what we're going to do is on this case note pop-up, you're going to click the type of case note. So if it's something specific, so if you're making a referral for them, if it's a follow-up, if they're exiting the program, I generally will just put general because especially if I'm just adding a service, it's kind of just a general case note. And then you can put in your case note subject. So for me, I'm just going to say adding resume prep. And then you can add in a message. So again, in this case, it could be something as simple as participant stated they needed resume assistance, adding service. If it's something more complex, you can put that here as well. So if it's something like this individual needs help actually creating the resume on a computer, reserve computer at computer lab, this time to this time for this participant to work on this. Whatever it might be, as complex or simple as it needs to be to communicate whatever you're trying to communicate. So I'm just going to put added resume prep based on participant need. All right. But now at the bottom of this case note and all of our case note screens, you are going to have the ability to send this case note as a workNet message. So you can actually send this to the participant if you want to. You can send it as a message in Illinois WorkNet and email the participant, or you can just save the case note and it will just save to the system. This is probably the most popular one that I've seen. I don't know of many programs that send the messages for every single case note. If it's something of importance, they might do it if it's a follow-up or something like that. But just keep in mind you have the ability to kind of notify the participant of a new message if you want to. And then you will press add case note. Oh, you know what happened? I apologize. My system logged me out there. Hold on one second. Let me just reset my dates. Okay. So let me just get back here. Added resume prep. Okay. And then I'm going to save my case note and then add case note.
I got a question. I got that red box as well, and I tried to follow along, but you went a little fast. How do I get?
Yeah, so sometimes, so this is probably a fun lesson learned for all of you. if you have multiple tabs open of IWRS, if they're not all active, sometimes the system will kind of time you out on that other tab, and it can affect the tab you're working on. So if that happens, all you need to do is kind of just refresh your page, and it will bring you back to that section. So William, if you want to refresh and just let me know if that worked for you.
Yeah, so I got select a goal. We did transition
Transition
services.
service. Yep.
And then started and opened. Let's see here, dates. February 1st, April 28th. We put 0 still in the hours, correct?
Yep. Perfect.
And then update customer. And then we went to general on the next one, correct? And then added.
Yeah. So general, and then you'll add a subject and then a message. And then just do save as case note without sending a message / email.
All right, I got success customer service has been
Awesome.
entered. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So once that has been entered, so now we have successfully added this service. So what you're going to do now is you're going to click back on training / services. So this tab up at the top. And you should now, under your transition services, if you've been able to kind of follow along with me, you should now have show next steps next to your transition services. And then you'll be able to see your resume prep or whatever service you just added on your end here. So if you are seeing that, you were able to follow along with me. If you can just send up a hand or an emoji so I can make sure I'm kind of seeing who has been able to add that. Okay, William, Greg, awesome. Joshua, Leilani. Okay, great. All right, so that is how you're going to add a step or service. Now, of course, as you are going through this, any part of this system, adding a service, adding anything in the system, please do not hesitate to reach out to me or to Dan, whoever your assigned grant manager is. We are of the opinion it is better to ask questions. Please ask early and often. We want to make sure this is all set up for you well. We also want to avoid having to have you go back and redo work. So please just, if you have a question, just double check with us if something doesn't seem clear, or if you don't know what you're supposed to do or don't remember, please feel free to reach out. We will either host a one-on-one with you, or we will give you the video tutorial where it will walk you through how to do something. So again, please feel free to reach out. I don't ever want you guys to feel lost or confused by this system. It is a little bit of a learning curve, so please reach out to us. So that is how we add a step or service. And then the final piece that we went through is this sub tab here, so our update log. So when you click on this update log tab, it's going to show you all of the steps that you've taken or anyone has taken on this profile. So for those of you who are able to add a resume prep in here.
I ain't taking you nowhere. I'm not taking.
Tawana?
Yes.
Oh, it sounds like someone is unmuted. Is that you?
Oh yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you will see on this sub tab, this update log, and you are able to see all of the steps that anyone has taken on that profile. So you can see this resume prep that I just went ahead and added here. And then you should also, if you were able to add a service, that should show you this here as well. So now I am going to go ahead and ask if there are any questions about this portion before we talk about how to add attendance. Not seeing any questions in the
No
chat.
questions so far, Christine.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now let's get into adding attendance. So I'm going to have Gia take the screen back from me here and share our slides. Thanks so much, Gia. All right. So the training and services tab, in addition to what we just kind of went through, is also where attendance, post-assessment scores, and credentials are added to IWRS. So there are going to be two ways to add attendance. So there is bulk attendance, so where you're adding attendance for a lot of students at once, or there is individual attendance, where you're actually going into a participant profile and adding attendance for that specific person. So the first tool we'll talk about is bulk attendance. So the bulk attendance tool allows for the user to filter by training service module and then choose a date that attendance needs to be entered for. And it will bring up all of the participants that are actively enrolled in that training module. So you are able to add attendance for all of those participants at once. So the way that you're going to access this tool is from IllinoisWorkNet.com. You are going to make sure that you have signed in, so you have that orange navigation bar. And then you're going to click on My Dashboard. So when you click on My Dashboard, Gia, if you could actually go back one slide for me. Thanks so much. So when you click on My Dashboard, you're going to see this drop down. And under personal tools, so on the left side, at the bottom is attendance. That is how you're going to access your bulk attendance tool. So I know this is a little bit different because we're not actually logging into IWRS first, but this is how you access your bulk attendance tool. So click on attendance there. And that will bring you over to our next screen, where you're actually going to see the bulk attendance tool itself. So if we can advance, thank you, Gia. So on this screen, you will see when you first log in, you're just going to have the section at the top. So you'll see select program, select provider, your provider name will be available there. And then you'll see activity. That is where you're going to actually select the individual activity that that participant is enrolled in, or where you're trying to take attendance for. So activity, here we have first aid CPR, and then you have the ability to select the day. So if it's today's date, you can click on the little link there that says today's date. If you're trying to backdate attendance, if you click into that date field, a calendar will populate. You can click on whatever date you're looking for. And then you'll select enter hours for selected date. And it will bring up all of the participants that are active and entered for that module. So anyone who is currently enrolled in first aid CPR will pull up there. And then you can see there is a full list. Here we only have 2 participants in our test account. So you'll see we have 2 participants that got pulled through. And then we're able to take attendance for that day, for that module, for all of the participants in that module. So this is just meant to kind of cut down on time going into a participant profile, entering individual attendance. You can take attendance on one screen for everyone in that module. Okay. So now also on this screen, you're going to see all the way to the right, there are links, linked text that says history. So once you have your participants enrolled, you have a training service set up, and they are enrolled in those training services, that is when this tool will become available to you. So William, I did see your comment there. The reason that likely, William, you're not seeing this right now is you don't have any participants enrolled in a active training service. So that's why this is not gonna look like this on your system. I'm gonna show you during the practice what this is gonna look like. So don't worry about that right now, William. So on this bulk attendance screen, you're gonna see all the way to the right, this history link. When you click on that, it's going to bring up that participant's attendance history for this module. So you are able to see all of the history for that participant in this exact training module. So if you're trying to determine kind of how many hours they've already completed, make sure that attendance has been added for this participant for this module, that's how you can do that from this bulk attendance tool instead of logging into a participant profile. So that is our bulk attendance tool. When you, on that history section, if you wanted to, if you saw an error in attendance or something like that, you can click onto any of those weeks and it will take you into a pop-up for that week. So if you realize, you know, their last week's attendance says that they attended only 2 hours, and you know, in fact, that was not true. They were there the whole time. You can click into that week. The system will bring you a pop-up of their attendance for that week, where you then can update their attendance, press save, and it will save on their profile, even though you're in this bulk attendance tool. So again, these features are really designed to make sure that you're not having to go into every single person's profile to change something every time you need to take attendance. So that's how this system is designed. Again, I just want to reiterate, this tool will not be usable for new grantees until your participants are enrolled in an active training service. So that's really important. So during our practice, and I'll note this again before we go to practice, I'm going to have you watch my screen. Once your participants are enrolled in a training service, this tool will become available to you. Okay, so don't worry about if you're on this tool and it's not working exactly how you're seeing it on my screen right now. So the second way that you can do attendance is individual attendance. So you're going to do this by navigating to your participant profile. And that is done from that participant recruitment and engagement tab on the Illinois Works main page. And there you're going to search for your participant, or you're going to go through their list, click on their name, and you're going to get over to their profile. And then you're going to get over to their training and services tab, scroll down to the bottom where you'll find that career plan, and then click show next steps so you can see all of the training modules that are available for that participant. So now to take or to actually, you know, enter attendance, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the module you want to take attendance for. And that's going to bring you into this kind of edit customer service tab. So you'll recognize that this tab is when we set up that resume prep, it's set up kind of the same. This is where you're going to edit this customer service. So you'll click the sub tab here on your screen called attendance. And then the system's going to provide you a line for each week that the service is set up for. So if your service is set up for, you know, February through April, it's going to give you every single week from February 1st to April 28th, whatever those dates are. And then you're able to click into each of those weeks. When you click into one of those weeks, you will get the attendance pop-up. So it will be the same pop-up that we just saw with that bulk attendance tool, and you'll be able to edit day-to-day attendance. So are there any questions about this right now? We are going to practice this. So I know this is kind of a lot to just look at a slide for, but are there any questions right now?
There is one question from Evangelina. Evangelina.
Okay.
Yeah, she is asking, do we have to set attendance for every week on that module? Because it has been giving an attendance flag. And then
Okay.
Diane also has a question. How do you get to this screen?
Yeah, so Viangela, let's meet offline, because that sounds like you're talking about an existing participant. So that's gonna kind of take us away a little bit. So let me meet with you and your team offline on that. And then Diane, we're gonna go ahead and do a practice in just a second. So we'll navigate to this screen together.
No other questions. They both said thank you.
Okay, great. All right, and let's see. I did just get a private message asking, can you enter info at the end of the week instead of daily? So you can enter it at the end of the week. We do ask that everything's kind of updated in the system by Friday, end of business. We really push individuals to enter data daily because it kind of makes the chunks of data entry a little bit smaller than waiting till the end of the week. But if your team needs to wait till the end of the week, that is fine as well. All right, the next item we're going to talk about is adding post assessments. So in addition to attendance, each training module is required to have a scored post assessment. So to add a post assessment, we are going to follow the same path to access our participant profile. So you're going to go to that participant recruitment and engagement screen. You're going to click on the person that you want to edit a post assessment for. That's going to bring you into their participant profile. Then you're going to click on training/services. Go to the bottom of that screen to their career plan. Open up their training services, click on the module that you want to do a post assessment for, and it's going to bring you to this edit customer service screen. Now, instead of adding attendance, which we just did, you're going to click the tab next to it that says add post assessment. And you're going to be brought to this screen here. And this is where you are going to actually be able to add the score for that post assessment. So from here, you are going to see a blue button. You can see it's highlighted on the screen here that says Add Post Assessment. So you can click on the Add Post Assessment button, and this will provide you a pop-up where you'll input the name of the training module. So again, I really need to stress here, this is the name of the training module, not the participant name. So we need the name of the module that you are entering a score for, not the participant name. So you'll add in the name of that module, the score that they got on that module, and then the date here. So I did just see a note, it's too fast, the system is slow on my end. I'm going through the content kind of quickly because I want to get to the practice. So we will be doing this again in just a second. So here is your kind of post assessment screen. So for those of you who are following along in the system as we go through this content, if you can just hold on 1 second, we're going to get to the practice and we can kind of walk through it together. I just want to do this review of the content so you know kind of where we're going to go in the practice. Okay. So adding your post assessments here. Every single training module needs to have a post assessment score attached to it. So if you are doing a training module, it needs to have a corresponding post assessment score. Okay. So the next step that we're going to review in just a second is adding your credentials to the training module. So this is the final stage in completing a participant service. And that is also still going to be found on this edit customer service tab. So we are still in that same service that we did attendance for. We just did the post assessments for. Now we're going to do this earned credential for it. Okay. So you're going to click on that earned credentials sub tab. And this is where you're going to enter the credentials for those 3 required credentials. So we only need, and this is important, please kind of listen to this, because we only need an earned credential added for your OSHA 10, for your first aid CPR, and for your construction curriculum. So your NAV2, NCCER, or ICCB. We do not need an earned credential on every single service. Only those 3 that are required. If you are offering additional certifications, if you are offering forklift, CDL, flagger, something like that, that is in addition to our curriculum, you should also add those on those services. But if you are not doing anything additional, all we need to see is OSHA, your construction curriculum, and your first aid CPR. So please keep that in mind here, okay? So on this screen is your earned credential. So what you're going to be able to do is you will either have the ability to add a credential manually, which you will have a blue button that says add credential manually. And that will allow you to actually add in all of the information from this screen. So you'll be able to add the name of the credential, where the credential came from, the date that it was attained, descriptions of this as well. For others, so as if you have your program administrator has set up your training program in the provider information tab, you will also see these radio buttons that are on this page here. So you can see here above that blue add credential manually button, there are kind of 4 listed items. These are our radio buttons. If you have those buttons, which you all should, if your program administrator has set everything up correctly, all you need to do is click on that radio button. This pop-up form will appear, and all you'll need to do is add in the date, the credential source, and press save. So that's all you'll need to do if those radio buttons are there. If they're not, also not the end of the world, you can add it manually, okay? So that is our earned credentials section. So I know there are a lot of questions on this section. This is new, it's a lot of information. So we're gonna jump into our practice and I'm gonna walk you through how to do these items, okay? So we're gonna start with our bulk attendance tool. Again, because your test profiles do not have kind of your training service and everything fully set up, I just want to make sure I'm sharing here. Okay. Your bulk attendance is going to look a little bit different, but your bulk attendance should still have kind of the top fields for you. So I want you to just navigate to that bulk attendance tool with me so you know where it's at, you know how to use the filters. As your organization enrolls your participants, as you start your services, that is when your participants will begin to populate here, okay? So step 1, I need everyone to get over to IllinoisWorkNet.com. So you can do that by entering it up in your browser. If you're on the Illinois Works reporting system, you can click the logo up in the upper left-hand corner, either the Illinois Works logo or the Illinois WorkNet logo. Either way, once you are on this screen, please put up an emoji or raise your hand for me. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thanks, Greg, Tawana, Giselle. Awesome. Okay. So now you should all have, the system should have kept you signed in. So you should all have this orange navigation bar. If for some reason you don't have that, just go ahead and log in again, and the system will bring you back to this page with this bar. But you'll click on My Dashboard. And then underneath Personal Tools, you will click on Attendance. And what many of you will see right now for our new grantees, so renewed grantees, you will have participants already entered, so this will might be a little different for you. But for our new grantees, what you will see here is this Edit Weekly Attendance, Select Program, Provider, Activity, and then Select Day. So I just want you guys to follow along with me. So watch what I'm doing. You can also click on these features if you would like. If they are not populating something right now, again, it's because you don't have a participant added, and that's a training service added to your participant. That's fine. Don't worry about it. I just want you to kind of watch what this is going to look like. Okay. So you're going to select your program. So for all of us, it's going to be Illinois Works. Some of you may have other programs populate here if you have other grants. So once you have that selected, the system is just loading for me because I have access to all of the providers, but your provider name will be here for you. So you will select your provider name. Then you'll be able to select what cohort you're looking at. So if it is, you're just wanting to take attendance for cohort 1, you're just wanting to take attendance for cohort 2, whatever that might be, you can select that here. So this is a new feature this year. So I'm just going to select my cohort 1 for this year. And then you're going to be able to select your activity. So again, once you have all of your kind of training services set, so your curriculum is all in the system, you're going to be able to see all of your training modules in here and be able to take attendance for those. So I'm going to just go ahead and choose my first aid CPR because that's the one that was on our slide. So I just want to kind of keep consistency here. And then you're able to either click on this linked text here that says today's date, or select here and it'll bring a calendar for you. And then you can select the date there. I'm going to pause. Are we all kind of at this stage where we can see these different fields? We can see this calendar box. If you can give me an emoji or a hands up so I know we're on, we can at least see this piece. Okay. Okay, great. Great. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to click today's date, this little link here. And then that's going to populate today's date in my box. And then we'll click on enter hours for selected date. Of course, it's not going to work for me. Hold on one second. Okay. Here we go. So I just had to change my cohort because I didn't have anyone in my cohort 1. So for this year, I had them in last year. So cohort 1 for me is going to bring up Mr. Woods here. And this is his service now. So this will be his line. Once you guys all have your, all of your participants enrolled, they have their services set, all of the participants from whichever cohort you choose and that service are going to populate here. So you will have a full screen of all your participants, and then you'll be able to put in their check-in time, their check-out time. You'll be able to mark them as absent if they were not there, or you'll be able to add in the date of their makeup session. So if you know they're going to be absent today, but they're going to make up their hours tomorrow, you can choose absent here, and then you'll put the date the date, not hours, the date in this field here. So we're going to put 2/24/2023. That will allow the system to know it needs to go and look at that date to get makeup hours for this participant. So that's what that's telling the system to do. Okay. So that you'll just fill in each of these boxes, your check in and your check out. And so that is all you need to do to enter attendance. You'll press save, and that will be saved to that participant profile. So I'm just going to go ahead, press save here. It's going to give you this little box that everything was saved successfully. Now, the next feature that we reviewed is this little history link here. So if you click on history, whoops, it's going to bring up all of the attendance history for that participant. Now, when you have more participants here, each one will have this little link next to them. You can click on that. It will bring up the service attendance history for that participant. So you can see any other hours that have been entered. Now, if I was looking at this week and thought, well, I know Tiger was not there for 10 hours that week. That's not accurate. What I can do is go ahead and click this link here. And that will bring up that individual attendance box for me, where I can then edit any of that attendance. Okay. All right, so that is our bulk attendance tool. The next tool we're going to talk about is our individual attendance. So we're going to get back over to IWRS. So we are going to do that by clicking on My Dashboard and then go to Customer Support Center /IWIS. And that's going to take us back into the Illinois Works reporting system. We'll give the system just a second here. All right. Seems to be really lagging today. Not sure why that might be happening. It's not normally this slow. Maybe it's just because we're all on at one time. Let's give it just another second to load here. So you'll be brought to this group search, and then you'll be able to click IL Works to get us back into our Illinois Works reporting system. All right. So now it's gone ahead and brought us back to our participant recruitment and engagement screen. It's going to process and load all of your participants. But I'm going to go ahead and just start looking for my test participant. So if you guys go ahead and do that as well, you're going to do that by just searching for that participant's name. So for a lot of you, you can probably most easily find that individual by typing your organization name, if that was the name you put in, or you can type test. Either one will likely bring it up pretty quickly for you. All right, so we will search here. All right. And then once our list comes up with our participants, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click on their last name, which is linked, and we're going to get into their participant profile. And once we get into their participant profile, we're going to navigate to their training/services tab. So if your system's going a little bit quicker than mine, go ahead, click on that participant profile, and then you can get into that services tab. All right. So it looks like my system has now gone ahead and populated my list here. So I'm going to find my participant. So my participant was just Illinois Works test. So I'm going to go ahead and click on their last name here. And that's going to bring me over to that participant profile. So again, all I did, for those of you who, I know the system's still kind of lagging a little bit. So all I did here is once I found my participant, I just clicked on their last name. It's going to bring you over to their profile. Okay. All right, so now I'm on their profile and I'm just going to click on this training/services tab. Okay. So for our purposes, because we went ahead and we set up our transition service, so our resume prep service, I'm going to just demonstrate attendance on that service. So you can kind of see where you would navigate to that space. Now, attendance, again, you only need to do that on your training services, but because I want to show you this tab, we're just going to go into the service that we set up a little bit earlier, okay? So you're going to click on your service here. So now once everyone gets to this edit customer service, if you can just give me an emoji so I know that you're here. Okay, thank you, William. Thank you, Leilani. Wait for a couple more people to send up a signal so I know everyone is here. Okay, did everyone get to this page? If you can just give me a signal that you are here. Okay. Okay, great. So, so on this screen here, so this edit customer service screen, you can see up the top, there's all of these sub tabs. This is, we're going to be doing our attendance. So you're gonna click on attendance here. And then what you're gonna see is because we set up this service to be such a long service, you're gonna see a week for every single week, or a line for every single week from that planned start date to that planned completion date. So now if this is shorter, it's only going to have the number of weeks between those two dates. But what you'll be able to do is once this screen is populated here for you, you're just going to click on one of these weeks. And it's going to bring up a pop-up for that week. And you will notice this matches the same items that were on that bulk attendance tool. So you'll be able to do their check-in time, their check-out time, if they were absent, the date of their makeup session. So the bulk attendance tool and the individual attendance tool are designed to look the same. So you're always entering that same information, whether in an individual fashion or a bulk fashion. Okay. So once you've entered the attendance you want to enter, all you need to do is press save, and the system will save that attendance to that participant profile. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead here. If you are on this pop-up, you can go ahead and enter in some hours here. So I'm just going to do 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And then I'm going to press save here. And I'm just refreshing my screen here. That's all I did. And I'm getting back to the attendance. Sometimes it'll take the system a little bit to register that. Oh, this is why. I put it in the wrong field. I apologize. So my check-in time is 6 a.m. My check-out time is 8:30. I apologize for that. So I'm just gonna press save again here. And you're gonna see my hours populate there. So your check-in to check-out time, that's how it's gonna populate these hours here, okay? Any questions on that tab?
No questions so far, Christine.
Okay. So the next sub-tab we have is post-assessments. So post-assessments, again, every training module needs to have a post-assessment. We do not need post-assessments on support services. This is just an example, only training modules. But what you'll do is click on Add Post-Assessment. You'll enter the name of that assessment. So I'm just going to put OSHA 10 here, pretend this is my OSHA course. And then you'll type in the score that they got on that post-assessment, and then the date that they took that assessment. That's all we need on this post-assessment screen here, okay? And then you'll press save, and you will see it will populate here on the screen. So that's all. It's just adding in the score, adding in the date, name of that post-assessment, save, okay? Any questions about that?
No questions.
Okay, all right. So then the final item that we went over was this earned credentials. So again, I just want to reiterate, we only need earned credentials added for the credentials that your organization is offering, which for most of you is just going to be your construction curriculum, your OSHA 10, and your first aid CPR. If you are offering flagger, forklift, CDL, something else, you should add it onto those services. But for most people, it's just going to be those three, okay? So all you need to do here is you'll click on Add Credential manually. You will add in that credential name. You will add in the source, the date that it was attained, the credential type, what institution gave it. So if you are partnering with an organization to do this, you'll put that organization's name in here. I'm just going to write OSHA here for our purposes. And then you'll write a description. So you can just say earned OSHA 10 on 2/23/2023. And then you'll press save. So I'm going to pause here in case anyone is still walking through this, just so you can grab this information if you want to follow along with what I have. Okay, looks like Joshua did a thumbs up. Okay, so I'm just going to press save here. And then you're going to see that credential added. Now, I don't have my credentials added on my training program screen. For program administrators, we went over that screen during IWRS session 1. Once those training programs are set up, all of those credential radio buttons will show up here. Okay, so all you would need to do is click on one of those radio buttons that would appear here. And then you're able to just put in the date and the credential type, press save, and you're done. So it is that simple. So it's just basic information about it, save. So now we've done our attendance, we've done our post assessments, and we've done our earned credentials. This service is now considered complete because I've done the attendance that was required, I've done the post assessments that were required, and I've done my earned credential. Okay, that's now complete. So any questions about those pieces that we just went through?
No questions.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to delve into our final section. So this next section is about IWRS reports. So we're gonna kind of walk through this. Again, I'm gonna go through the content side a little bit quick because I want to get to the practice side of it where we can walk through together and go a little bit slower. Okay. So module 7, we're going to be talking about IWRS updated tools and features. So by the end of this section, you will be able to identify participant red flags and academic information through the Student Support Needs Report and Attendance and Post-Assessment Report. You'll be able to describe how the work plan and report can help guide program performance. And you'll be able to utilize the export report for compliance verification and participant information. So we kind of reviewed some of these earlier. Some of these are going to seem familiar to you, but it's just a good reminder on these tools. So the first two tools are the first two reports are our Student Support Services Report and the Attendance and Post-Assessment Scores Report. So on your Participant Recruitment and Engagement tab, you will see the button that says Student Support Needs Report. This is the way that you are going to be able to access this Student Support Services Report. So when you click on this button, you will be taken over to a report where you will be able to see all of your participants' names, all of the training modules that they have been enrolled in, and then any red flags for attendance or post assessments per module per participant. So it is a very large report, but you are able to filter by date, by their enrollment status, by the service name. So if you're just looking for red flags in a specific service, or by flag type. So if you're only looking for attendance red flags, if you're only looking for post-assessment red flags, that is where you will find that as well. So during the process of entering attendance and post-assessment scores, if participants fall below attendance or post-assessment thresholds, IWRS will add a red flag to that participant profile. This report, so the Student Support Needs Report, will provide an overview of all training services by each participant and show which training service has a red flag. This is especially helpful for program administrators before a compliance review. So if you are looking to kind of get that eagle eye view of red flags, this report is a good place to go. The second report, or on the screen here, you can also see another way to get to that report. So at the top of your screen, on your navigation bar, you are going to see a little icon that kind of looks like a bar chart. If you click on that bar chart icon, it's going to take you into a list of all of the reports. So you can see on your screen here, this is a list of all of the reports. If you're trying to get to the student support report, you can click on Student Support Service Report as highlighted on your screen here. Primarily, most of you will probably get to that report from that main screen by clicking that button, but this is another way to go there. Also on that reports section is our second report we're going to talk about. So this is attendance and post-assessment scores. So the attendance and post-assessment scores report came out late last year. And you, again, are going to get to this by going to that reports icon on your navigation bar. So it just looks like a little bar chart. And then you're going to scroll down until you see this attendance and post-assessment scores report. So once you click on that, it's going to bring up all of your participants' names, their training services, and then per training service, it's going to show you the post-assessment score that has been entered and the attendance that has been entered. So this report is extremely useful if you want to get, again, that eagle eye view of what post-assessment scores have been entered. If you're trying to check and verify that those scores are correct, if you're trying to check and verify that that attendance is correct, that is this is a great report to do that with. So the next report we're going to look at, and we kind of went through this a little bit earlier today, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. But this is your work plan and report. Again, this is located on the main page of IWRS. You are going to select that work plan and report tab. And that is going to take you over to a screen where you can see all of your key outcome metrics, your goal outcome metrics, actual numbers of your progress towards your goals in IWRS, and then all of your start and end dates for each of those goals. So I just want to make a quick note here. So you'll notice on the screen that your primary and secondary outcome transition, the actual is 0 for our kind of test subject here. You will only see those numbers change once our team has verified that an individual has made a primary or secondary transition. So if you know that you've marked someone as complete in transition, but you're not seeing it show up here, it's very likely that our team is still working on the back end to verify those numbers. So just a quick note there. Now, the next tool we're going to talk about is the export report. So this report, again, we talked about it kind of the top of our training today. This is located on your participant recruitment and engagement tab. It is located underneath those kind of search options where you can change your customer status or search by customer status. You'll click on the blue button that says export. It will bring up this list of fields for you. On this list of fields, you can get participant demographic information, training information, red flag information. You can also get from this report, transition information, whatever you might like. You can also select all of these fields if you want to. Once you have selected the fields that you want, all you need to do is at the bottom of that pop-up, you'll choose export, and that will download that report for you. So it will always download as an Excel. So you have the ability to then kind of filter or sort that data once it is downloaded on your Excel tab. All right. So we're now at the end of that section. Again, I know I went through that section kind of quick because I want to get to the practice and I want to be respectful of all of your time. So let's just kind of quickly review those reports. Please follow along if you can. I will, try to just paste this so that we are kind of in a good place. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, so I'm just still on my test person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back to my participant and recruitment screen. And I'm going to do that by going up to groups here. And again, if you are at any point in the system, you want to get back to that main screen, I found the fastest way to do that is to go through this groups button. A little comical that today I'm saying it's fast. The system is not in any means moving fast. So I apologize for that, but you'll go ahead, you're going to get to this groups section, and then you're going to click on ILWRS. So I just saw a question pop up. Yes, please follow along if you would like. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can just watch if you would like as well. But for those of you who are following along, go ahead and navigate to your participant recruitment and engagement screen. I'm just going to give it a second to kind of load here. All right, and I know our system being a little slow today has kind of slowed down our process, so I appreciate you guys all hanging out with us here. So let's go through the reports that we talked about. So that first report that we talked about is the Student Support Needs Report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my student support needs report. And this report, again, is going to give you all of your participants' names, all of their training services, any red flags that are on that training service. So you're going to see when you get to this report, you'll just have this box. And this is where you're going to be able to filter your data here. So you'll be able to type in a service name. So if you're just looking for red flags on first aid CPR, you can type in the service name here. If you are looking for customers by enrollment status, you can do that here. Most of you are going to be just looking at your enrolled participants. So generally, you can just leave this blank and it will just pull through your enrolled participants. You can also look for a date range. So if you are looking for just red flags for the last month, you can add your date range in here. And then flag types. So absent flag, post-assessment flag, or any flag. If you just leave it as select, it's going to bring up everything that is available. So any post-assessment, any attendance flag. So whatever you might be looking for. And then you're going to press filter. Now, for all of our new grantees, when you press filter, it's not going to go anywhere. You don't have all of your participants set up and in the system yet. Once that is all set though, once you have your participants entered, they're enrolled in all of their services, you will see all of them will populate. Now, I do need to warn you that this report, because it is populating so much information, it is going to take a little bit to appear. So if you're thinking like it's broken, it's not working, just give it another minute. In particular today, because it seems like we're going a little slow, but it will bring up all of your participant data so you can access it here. I'm going to let this kind of keep churning away here and load. And for the sake of time, I'm going to talk about the next report, and then we'll come back to this one so you can see kind of what it's going to populate for you. So our next report is we talked about the attendance and post-assessment report. So you're going to get to that report through this little icon up here. So this looks like our bar chart icon. So I'm just going to open this in a new tab so that I can leave this one to kind of do its thing over there. Now this, where we're going now, this is all of the reports in Illinois workNet. So you're going to notice there are some reports from other programs, Apprenticeship Illinois, DHS, things like that. Those are just kind of standard reports. We're going to be only using 2 reports. So the one we just went over, that's Student Support Services report, and then the attendance and post-assessments report. All right. So I have every intention of going over this report with you. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with the system today, why it's moving so slow for us. Okay. I'll let these kind of load here. Trying to get us back to our main page here, but it seems like our system is not reacting well to me talking you through all of our reports right now. So I'm just going to let this kind of sit for a second. The other 2 reports that we talked about, that work plan report and the export report, we had gone through that in the earlier practice. So I really wanted to spend this practice just going over these 2 reports with you. It seems like, unfortunately, our system is just not working right now. I do have short tutorial videos on this student support report. So I will go ahead and make sure in a follow-up email to you, I'm going to send you that link so you can watch that. It's a very short video, but it just kind of shows you what this is going to look like when everything is set up and functioning. I'll also go ahead and I'll just create one for our attendance and post-assessment report so that you have that as well. I don't want the system kind of running slow to be take away anything from your learning how to use these reports. So let me do that. I don't want to take up any more of your time kind of having this think on its own here. But that is the last item I have for you today. So between IWRS session 2 and this session here, you should have learned how to navigate the basics of our system, our main page. You learned how to add a participant, how to go through that intake process and get them enrolled. And then you today learned about how to kind of add in a service, review those training services, do your attendance, post assessments, earned credentials. And now I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Gia. She's going to do our feedback session very quickly. Thank you so much to all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine, and for providing those additional resources for the grantees. So because all of you all have been with us before, you do know how to do the Mentimeter feedback. So if you could type in www.menti.com and the code 2210-6041. Also, the link should be available for you in the chat as well. So please log in here or utilize the information that's being provided for you in the chat. Thank you, Dan. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to Mentimeter. Let's see who we have. Okay, we've got a couple people logged in. If you have not done so, please do log in. Okay, so while people are still logging in, I'm going to go ahead and go to the first question. Please share your views of this training by ranking the following statements, from 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. Okay, we have seven respondents. Please do respond. 8. Okay, awesome. 10, 11. Thank you. Again, you can see the code up here at the top for Mentimeter. In addition, this information is available for you in the chat. So please log in and do provide your feedback. Okay, the next question is, this course was relevant to what I wanted to learn about this subject matter. Okay, we have 6 respondents. Okay, 12 respondents. Okay, the next question, I plan to apply what I learned. Again, the information should be available for you in the chat to log into Mentimeter to provide feedback. What improvements might you recommend? Thank you. Any additional feedback? Great, thank you. Okay, thank you. Great, thank you. Okay, what did you find effective? So if we make changes, what should we keep? Yep, she did do a fantastic job. Any other feedback? Yep, the session will be made available to you typically within 3 business days. Okay, awesome. And this is the last question. Is there anything else about this course you think we should know? Okay, I will leave this question up on Mentimeter if you have already responded, and I'll turn it back over to Christine. Christine, thank you. Okay, she may have already
Oh, no, I'm here. Sorry.
there she is. Okay.
I was talking and I had it on mute, so I apologize. Thank you all so much for all of this engagement, for attending all of our sessions. This is our last onboarding session. So I appreciate you guys all attending. We will soon release an annual calendar of all of our professional development dates throughout the year, including our regional meetings as well as our conference. So be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to reach out to your assigned grant manager or to our general email at ceo.illinoisworks@illinois.gov. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.